Hey everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be setting up the 2026 bullet journal and also doing the January spreads. So this year I'm using a hemlock and oak journal. This is what this one looks like. I have never bought anything from their company or bought any of their journals before, so this is like a new experience for me. What I did notice is that there's a space at the bottom of the page. I don't know if you can see that, like where it's numbered. So that's interesting. I do appreciate though that the dots go all the way just about to the edge of the page and they're very close on the inside as well. I really like that. I have started sketching out some grid spacing and a couple of yearly spreads just so that I could get a start on it and kind of get a feel for the journal. So by the time you're watching this, it's probably the new year. It is not New Year right now. Christmas just happened and my husband's got the flu and I just woke up from a nap and that's why I look like this. But anyways, we're gonna get this all set up and I will tell you about the theme for the month of January once we get there. So without further ado, let's get started. The flu got me, so I don't know how much I've explained and how much I have not talked about anything. But the January spreads are going to be like brain/psychology themed because I'm turning 25 and that is, as far as I know, when your brain like matures. So I thought that was going to work. I printed these pictures from online. I will link where I got them from and I'm going to sort of make a collage. So I'm going to kind of like cut them up, maybe rip them up. There's different pictures. They're mostly anatomic diagrams. Some of them are in blue, some of them are in black ink, and we're just gonna have fun with it. I'm not very good at making collages, but I like the idea of this, so we're gonna try our best. So usually when I do a new setup, I try and keep the title page of the new year the same as the January spreads, so that's what I'm gonna do. As I think I may have said already, or maybe I haven't if we're not at that point in the video. So I've made this collage and I'm just going to glue it down and this is going to be the title page for 2026. I have completed January at this point, so we'll give you a little sneak peek of what that's going to look like. So very similar vibes. This one is just taking up more of the page. I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down. I did try the 2026 in blue ink, but I didn't like it as much as the black. So the blue is going to be reserved for the rest of January, and we'll leave the black for the yearly setup pages. I don't have too many yearly setup pages this year because I didn't think that I needed that many. Last year I made sure to include lots of like reading ones, but this year I'm thinking of maybe actually just making a reading journal all on its own, so then I don't have to do like double the amount of work. Good like that. So we will finish sticking this down. I don't think I've explained at all any of my yearly spreads at this point. So once I finish gluing this down, I will take you through what I've got set up here. That is looking pretty good. And I think this will be it for gluing so I can finally put the glue away because I've already done January because I wanted to get all of these scraps of paper off of my desk before I start doing the line art for the rest of the journal. So this is the last little bit that I have to do, and I don't want to do this again. I'm done gluing. That is that. Okay, title page done. I actually really love it. I think this is probably the best collage out of all of the ones that I've done so far. But anyways, I'm really happy with the way that that looks. And then on the opposite page is just a simple little grid spacing because this is a new journal, like I said before. So I need to know how best for me to space my boxes. And then as we go forward, I have my year at a glance, which is going to be set up a little differently this year. So we'll see if that works for me or not. I have a little bingo for some art goals and business goals, and then a Savopoly because I always put one of those in my bullet journal. So I probably won't like show you the whole thing because I've done it a few times now. And then the last page is a book of the year. So I did want to include just my book of the year, but not necessarily like a whole library 5-star reads did not finish because that sounds like a reading journal. So anyways, let's get into doing the line art for the rest of these yearly spreads. So for the grid spacing, I chose to do the halfway lines in black, and then of course all the tiny little numbers, they're also in black, but then the vertical and horizontal grid spacing lines themselves are done in 2 different shades of blue. So the vertical is that gel pen that I've been using for like all of these spreads, as you'll see, and then the horizontal ones is just a jelly roll pen. The black pen is a Staedtler line art. I don't know, I've never used it before. I got it in like a subscription box, but it's really nice. The ink flows really nicely and it doesn't seem to bleed through the paper. So those are both bonuses. And because it's brand new, the ink is flowing out so nicely, which is, you know, a bonus. Anyways, moving on to the year at a glance. Usually I do the individual little calendars in the actual shape of the calendar that they're supposed to be, but I saw this on Pinterest and I was like, you know what, that's kind of cool. Let me try that. So this time everything is in horizontal lines and we've broken up the months into groups of 3, and then you just color in the number based on whatever event it is. So I've written down birthdays, holidays, travel, daylight savings, and my anniversary, even though I'm not going to forget what my anniversary is, but I figured then I could write 2 columns of words in the legend instead of just 1. And then here we go for the bingo. For whatever reason, the coloring of it did not get filmed, even though I swear to God I remember pressing record, but whatever, we're having some problems with that, as I will get into in a little bit here. And then my Savopoly. So these lines are nice and bold, and then everything else is a little bit finer because I've done it with a smaller line art. So now we've got the book of the year. Not my favorite spread, but it is what it is. It'll do the trick. And like I said, I think I'm gonna actually make a reading journal. So now I'm just showing you how I'm tacking together a couple different of the collages that I'm using for my spreads. I'm going in with just like that little, I don't know what it is, but it's like this double-sided tape thing just to tack them in place, and then I'm gluing everything else. So it's good that you got to see some of these collages because, like I said, we're having some filming problems for whatever reason, just so irritating, and we're missing weeks 1 through 3. So love that for us. But anyways, here I'm gluing down the title page for January. Using glue is actually a nightmare, but now that everything is stuck down for a title page, I'm just gonna handwrite January. I did like sort of test it out on this similar colored one, and for whatever reason it doesn't look like I spelled January correctly, but I did. But anyways, that's what it's gonna look like, assuming that I can get in here and replicate that. So we're not following any pencil, we're just going for it. Ooh, we're already off to a weird start. Okay. Okay, I kind of like that. It definitely gives off the hand-drawn vibe. That's okay. I think I might come back a little bit later just to like thicken up these lines. Okay, we look like a medical journal, sort of. Let's keep going. Now that the bare bones of the calendar are done, we can start adding in the collage parts. So I thought this little strip would look nice. Kind of like how people add washi tape to their bullet journals. Just to add a little something else, you know? And then this piece is gonna go down here. And then these are gonna go here and here. Now, what I want to do is draw like kind of loopy lines as if the brain has been pulled apart, but I want the lines to go underneath of the brain pieces. So I want to make sure that I'm gluing things in the right spot. Then I'll go in with this and then I'll glue these 2 pieces down. So, oh, somebody's yelling at their dog out there. Hopefully you can't hear that. Like that. Yes. Okay. I like the way that looks. Okay, so we just have to keep them in between there. Okay, I think that's perfect. Now we can finish gluing down, and then I have these strips that are gonna go above here, and that's where we will write the days of the week. And it's a pretty minimalist calendar, but I think it does the trick.
Like I just said, we're missing weeks 1 through 3, so I'm gonna talk through this, and then like at least everything is just repeated, so you're not missing like too much, but it is frustrating that I did put in all this work and I meant to film it, and then for whatever reason it didn't work, so that's irritating. So now we're moving on to the habit and mood tracker. I'm doing 2 different grid layouts for this. For the mood tracker, you just color in a square, and then for the habit tracker, you just fill in a little circle in the actual calendar looking thing. So again, keeping with the dark blue line art because that fits the theme. And then for the rest of the colors, I just chose a few different colors of markers that I thought worked really nicely. This blue is actually perfect, so I'm glad that that got featured. And then now we're moving into week 4 because week 1 to 3 are missing. So very minimalistic, and then there's just a big collage to fill in that empty space. I don't think I've done this since like 2023 or something like that, so it was a nice change again.
And here is the final flip through for the 2026 setup and January bullet journal spreads. So I'm actually really happy with the way that this turned out. I think it's a nice change compared to what I've done in the last couple of years. Obviously the Say Bopply is the exact same, so I didn't bother filming that part, but the rest of it is brand new. This is like probably my least favorite spread, and I'm unhappy that the orange bled through from here onto my January, but otherwise I think it's really cool. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Mondays or Wednesdays or kind of whenever I'm able to, usually about twice a month. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you all in the next one.